So children, in this video, I'll be discussing about the evidences or proof of evolution. So this is nothing but a recap of what you have learned in class 10. So the first proof of evolution is paleontological evidence, which is also known as the fossil records. Now you know what fossils are. Fossils are the preserved remains of prehistoric organisms in the different layers of the earth's crust. So it has to be a prehistoric organism. A dead body of a dog lying beside the road cannot be regarded as a fossil, right? So it has to be preserved in any form in the different layers of the earth's crust. Now there are basically different types of fossils that you can find. First one is the skeletal remains. It can be any bone or anything. So like the evolutionary history of human beings, horse, elephants, these have been completely established with the help of skeletal remains. Next is imprints. Imprints are like we have stamp. So suppose an animal has walked over soft mud and over the time it did not rain there and the entire mud got converted into a rock. So the imprint of the footprints will be there. So those are the kind of imprints. Cast and molds are like, suppose we have a bowl like this. In this bowl you fill with sand and you take out the sand. So the sand will take the shape of this bowl. So this bowl is the cast and that sand is the mold. So when we are casting it out, so we have casted the sand in this particular mold. So this will act as the mold and that is the casting. So what is the cast and mold kind of fossils? Suppose an organism died, yeah, and very slowly it got covered with sand before it could decompose, and very gradually, molecule by molecule, there will be decomposition. So after the entire organism gets decomposed, it will get replaced with that particular material. It may be sand or mud or whatever. So that is a kind of cast and mold. Then we have whole organism preserved, like in the permafrost of Russia. They could, in Siberian region, they could find out a woolly mammoth which was around 10,000 years old, and the flesh of that mammoth was so fresh that it could be fed to the dogs. It was discovered in 1980s. So next is coprolites. Coprolites are the dung of prehistoric organism which got solidified over the time in the form of rocks. So all these are the different types of fossils. So fossils are basically direct proof of evolution. These are direct proof of evolution. It proves beyond doubt that evolution has taken place. Now how do we determine the age of fossil? You know there are two methods. One is indirect method, one is direct method. Indirect method is when we refer to the age of the fossil by referring to in which layer of the earth's crust the fossil is found. So older, the deeper the layer where you will find the fossil, the older is the age of the fossil. Next is direct method. Direct method is by like radiocarbon dating. There are different ways of doing that. What we do there, we analyze the amount of radioactive isotope present in a fossil and we find out the age with the help of half-life method. The other proofs of evolution that has been discussed in your NCERT book, one is of your comparative anatomy and morphology. Now under comparative anatomy and morphology, we may have the case of homologous organs. So homologous organ, you know that organs which have similar structure, internal structure, but their functions are different. Now having similar structure means they have evolved from the same ancestor, but due to different environment they have adapted in different way. For example, forelimbs, they have the same bones like humerus, radioulna, carpals, metacarpals, phalanges. Now, but if you look at forelimbs of whale, it is meant for swimming. Forelimbs of cheetah or horse, it is meant for running. Forelimbs of man, it is meant for grasping or holding, as I'm holding my pen. Forelimbs of bat, it is meant for flying. So all the functions are different. But they have, since they have the same internal structure, therefore we can say that they have evolved from a common ancestor. We can take an example of from the plant kingdom, like we have thorns of bougainvillea and tendrils of cucurbita. If you see the diagram, the thorns are nothing but modified axillary bud. They are arising from the axis of the leaf and the branch. Similarly here also, from the axis of the leaf and the branch, you find tendrils coming out. So both thorn and the tendril, their functions are different. This is protective in nature, this helps for climbing, but both are nothing but modification of axillary bud. So this is an example of homologous organ. Therefore, we can say that homologous organ are nothing but case of divergent evolution. They diverge out. Under comparative anatomy, we can see the comparative nature of heart in case of vertebrates. Pisces, fish, they have a two-chambered heart. Amphibians and reptiles, they have three-chambered heart. Aves and mammals, we have four-chambered heart. So there is a comparative development from Pisces to amphibian reptiles to aves and mammals. All these are some indicative proof of evolution, not a direct proof, but indicative. Direct proof is fossil records. Next, we have the case of analogous organs. So analogous organs, that they have different structure but similar function. So different structure means they have evolved from different ancestor, but in order to adapt to a similar environment, they have developed similar function, like wings of butterfly and wings of bird. Wings of butterfly is nothing but a membrane. Wings of birds are made of feathers. So different origin, but they are performing the same function, flight. Similarly, if we take the case of potato and sweet potato, potato is a modified underground stem and sweet potato is a root, but they have a common function of what? Storage. So from different sources or different ancestors, they are coming together towards a common function. Therefore, it is a case of convergent evolution. Other example which is given in your book regarding proof of evolution is molecular phylogeny. Molecular phylogeny means finding similarity in the different molecules. It can be protein or DNA among different groups of organisms. For example, you will be getting that any two human beings, if you compare, 99.9% of our DNA is similar. If you compare a chimpanzee and human being, around 96% of our DNA is similar. Some studies suggest 98%. So it means what? The closer the organisms are linked, more will be the similarity in the chemicals present in them. Apart from all this, which are given in your book, NCERT book, we can take the example of vestigial organ. Vestigial organs are the organs which are present in us, but they are no longer useful, like appendix, coccyx, the tailbone, then mammary glands of males. So all these are present, but they are of no longer use. But if you look at any related group or lower group, these are very much functional, like appendix is very much functional in herbivorous animal. Coccyx is functional in other vertebrates. It helps them to move their tail. Atavism is another proof of evolution, where it is the recurrence of ancient traits. Like you might find babies which are born initially with a small extension of the coccyx, they have a tail. Or some people are there who can move their pinna, the ear, due to presence of functional muscles, which we cannot. So though that is the case of atavism. Next we have connecting link and missing links. So connecting links means organisms which are present still now, and they are a kind of link between two groups, like platypus. It is a link between birds and mammals. Platypus, they have avian features, like it has a duck bill, then it lays eggs. And what are the mammalian feature? It has hair on its body. It will feed its young one with milk. It has mammary glands. So basically that's a connecting link, showing a link between two groups. Missing link is also similar, but the thing is that these examples no longer exist. They are already extinct. Like Archaeopteryx. Archaeopteryx, it's a very primitive bird. It looks somewhat, if you look at the fossil, you can Google search and see. It's a very primitive bird. And what are the bird-like features? Bird-like features is that they have feathers. The forelimb was modified into wings. They have this mouth modified into beak. So that was the feature. Reptilian features: in the beak there were teeth present. At the edge of the wings they had claws. In the wings there was presence of vertebral column. So all these are the reptilian characters. So this Archaeopteryx is a classic example of link between reptiles and apes. So overall, these are the different proofs of evolution, which shows us that how the present day organisms have evolved from earlier organisms. Thank you.